Hey there, and welcome to Rainswept. This is a little indie game I just now found. And also just noticed cannot use the menu with the cannot use the controller in the menu. So that's the thing. So hey, let's start a new game. Monday, 12:14 a.m. October 7th, 1996. Oh no. Well, okay. Rainswept. Monday, 7:35 a.m. Still October 7th. Okay, it doesn't read my controller input. That's okay. Alright, I'm here. Time to see what this is all about. Wow. Interact is E. And infantry is... Okay. Cool. Move. Interact. We want to... I just got here. We're not getting in the car. Okay. That is my car. Cool. So we can look at things with E. They've been here a while, it looks like. Now why would I... No, I'm not getting in their police car. That's right. Terrible. What? I said terrible. Terrible business, all this. Ha. This was only a matter of time. Everyone knows that. I know. Still, they were so young. Young and stupid, you mean? The stories I've heard. I guess you're right. It's just a matter of time. What? It was a matter of time. It's really coming down today. We should get back home. A few more minutes. I want to see what happens. Nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna catch a cold, that's all. Oh, witnesses. You city folks. Can I talk to them? Yes. The crowd is too close to the crime scene. The number of cops are too few. This is poor. It is. There's just 3 officers I can see now. That's the way inside. I wonder why Chief sent me all the way to Pineview for this case. Only one way to find out. And that is to go in there. But, can we... Hello. Now what's he up to? He is inspecting the tape. Ma'am, please. You need to back away a little. What's happened here? A murder, Johnny. Get under the umbrella. Oh. What's happened here? A murder. Johnny, get under the umbrella. Granny, I want to leave. Can I go back to the shop? Could see this coming a mile away. Ma'am, please. Granny, please. Alright, Johnny, let's go. There's no point in standing here now. I knew this would happen. We should have done something. There's nothing we could have done, son. Chris is responsible, I'm so sure. It's hard to disagree, but let's not speculate. Detective Anderson, right? The chief is inside. They've been waiting for you. You need to control the crowd, officer. You need to push the crowd further from the scene, officer. What? You'll have to speak up. I can't hear you over the rain. The crowd! Handle them! There could be evidence out there. Oh, yes, I'm trying. Hey Williams, what the hell are you doing? Trying to prop out this tape, sir. It won't stay. Well, get some sticks and drive him in. Yes, sir. Richard! Don't call for Richard, he's on leave. Do it yourself. Goodness. Sorry, detective. Thing is, we're short on manpower here. We weren't prepared for this kind of thing. First time in decades. And to top it off, this rain. Out of nowhere. Just get the crowd under control. I'm heading inside. Yes, detective, don't worry. Richard! I mean, Williams! He's got a tough job. He'll manage one day. Should I go in? Go in, look around somewhere. Let's go in. No point in hanging around here. Oh, God. That's the sheriff. I think I should talk to him first. Alright. Deputies? You, I'm sorry, ma'am. Not very professional. I hope they know what they're doing. Yeah, they need at least a little breathing thingy, but I'm just gonna step over you. I'm sorry. Michael? Huh? What? Oh. Ah. Detective, are you okay? I think so, yeah. I guess I'm just a little tired after the long drive here. Detective Anderson, right? The head office called in to say that you'd be joining us for this investigation. I'm Sheriff Harris, and this here is Lieutenant Watt. We appreciate the department sending help, but I don't think we'll need it. This case is ready to be wrapped up. What do we have here? The victims here are Christopher Green, age 26, died from a bullet wound to the head. It looks self-inflicted. And Diane Miller, age 24, single bullet wound through the abdomen. The victims lived together, but they were unmarried. Alright, thank you, deputy. Any witnesses? Just the next door neighbor, who claims to have heard a single gunshot. We can interview him so shortly. What about the weapon? What do we know about the weapon? Both shots were fired from a M1911A1 .45 caliber pistol. The ballistics report will let us know more. Alright, but I guess it's just the same weapon and they might have owned it. What was the time of death? According to the next door neighbor, a single gunshot was heard around 12:15. We received the calls about 12:20. And we were here in another 5 minutes. We found them dead upon the arrival and confirmed the timing. Was there an intruder? No signs of forced entry. The door was locked from the inside when we arrived. An officer climbed through the open window here to open the doors. There are no footprints outside that window. Except the officer's. He was careful. No signs of struggle or marks on the body area either. Alright. Thank you, Sheriff, Lieutenant. Honestly speaking, Detective, we think it's pretty obvious what's taking place here. What do you mean? They had a reputation. They weren't exactly a happy couple, the whole town knows this. Diane was shot at point-blank range with Chris's gun, probably by Chris. He then went ahead and shot himself, as the wound is clearly self-inflicted. So you see, sending you here unnecessarily complicates things. Okay, gentlemen. It's obviously a case of murder-suicide, Detective. So everything's figured out already. If that was sarcasm, I'll ignore it. But yes, more or less. Are you suggesting that there was domestic violence involved? It would seem so. It was never reported, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen either. So, rumors. You might call it that, but when there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not sure that... And they were never really able to fit in this town. They were new here, moved in about 6 months ago. Never got out much, and they didn't make any friends. We don't need to analyze the obvious, detective. That would be inefficient. Officer Blunt will assist you through the course of your work here. Hello, detective. And on one more thing. We're looking to wrap this case up quickly and cleanly. We don't want to drag it if it can be helped. We have an important festival coming around in a week's time. Screw you. Bad timing. Wow. This is your work. So there's no need to go around complicating things, alright? Just get me a story that works and we can close this case quickly. This is not my job. Yeah, sure. Can't wait to wrap this case up. Alright. Alright then. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Goodbye, Sheriff. Okay then. Anyway. Have a look around the room. If you'd like, come and talk to me when you're done. Will do, sir. Hey. Hey, detective. Need any help? What's the plan? What kind of... I'm sorry. I'm just standing in front of you. I'm sorry. Have a look around the room. Once you're done, talk to Lieutenant Watts. Okay. I'm not sure who you are, but I guess you're my partner? Gunshot to the stomach. The damage and residue which suggests the shot was taken at point blank range. That rules out the possibility of her being shot from the open window. She would have been in line of sight from the outside though. There's no mistaking it. The perpetrator would have been inside the house to cause this kind of a wound. Whether that was Chris or someone else, it's hard to say at the moment. We need to look at gunshot residue on Chris's hands. Not very professional, I already told you that. Can we look at the gun? Yes. An M1911A1 .45 caliber pistol, just as the lieutenant said. Looks pretty old. Can hold 7 rounds. There are 4 rounds still in there. This means 3 rounds were fired from this gun at some point of time. If 2 were fired last night, where's the 3rd? Was it used on some other day? The gun belonged to Chris, according to Lieutenant Watts. Let's assume Chris or Diane weren't the ones to use it. Is there anyone else that could have known where they kept the gun? From Pineview? I really doubt it. Remember, no sign of forced entry. Remember, no signs of forced entry. Could it be someone they were comfortable with or trusted? No one I can think of. Interesting. I mean, they moved here. And they didn't make any friends, but they might have made friends before they moved here. A couple of months ago. .45 ACP rounds. It's a box of 20 rounds. There are 13 here, which means 7 are missing. 2 were used last night. 4 left in the gun, as we saw earlier. 2 were used, still 1 unaccounted for. When was it used? On the gun range. Just a single shot and he went home. Bullet wound to the head. The skull is badly damaged. Most of the side has been blown off. His body position and the way he fell would indicate that he was sitting sideways on the chair, facing where Diane's body is now. The angle of the shot indicates that he was shot from this side. If someone shot him, they were standing on us in front of the refrigerator. No clues here though. He could have been shot from that window. At the moment it's shut. Must get it checked for fingerprints and footprints outside. Could someone have entered and left through here? We should have the fingerprint results in a couple of days, detective. Don't forget, there aren't any footprints outside. If someone shot him from outside, then Chris would have sat facing the refrigerator. That would make sense. That way, the killer wouldn't need to enter the house. But in that case, who shot Diane? Let's do that. Gunpowder residue on his right hand. Hard to disagree with the lieutenant here. There is strong evidence for the victim shooting himself. But also for shooting Diane. Unless it was made to look that way? This chair is falling on its back. Looks like Chris fell off the chair before or after being shot. I'd say after, but who am I? Is there any more things to look at? Wine. Red wine. Looks like a new bottle was opened yesterday. No one drank from this glass. It would seem that Chris was sitting by himself at the table drinking wine, waiting for someone to join him. Probably Diane. Whether he's waiting for her or someone else, we don't know yet. A glass of wine was knocked over. This looks like wine, but there seems to be blood as well. How did blood spatter in this direction? That doesn't make sense. Officer Blunt, I think there's more than the 2 gunshots that we're seeing here. Interesting. Mr. Blunt, can we talk to you? We cannot. Can we talk to the lieutenant by now? We can, but I think there's more to look at in the room. There's letters. What's this? It's signed Chris, 96. I'm guessing Chris built some of the furniture. I'm guessing Chris built some of the furniture around this house. Doesn't look homemade, but he might have, I guess. There's a drawer. Already checked it out. I'm sorry. Alright, yeah, let's talk to the lieutenant, because we've been through everything here. Hey, Mr. Lieutenant. Shall we proceed? Yes. Yes, I'm done. Alright, let's have a chat with Mr. Willis outside. Hey, the rain is finally let up. That's interesting. All we had to do was walk out the door. Coffee. Right, this is Mr. Willis. He lives right here next door. Coffee, detective? Yes, please. You can ask him any questions you may have about last night. Right, Mr. Willis. Can you tell me everything that you saw or heard during last night's events? Well, see, I headed off to bed around 11 PM as I usually do after a glass of whiskey. Helps me sleep, you know. Anyway, somewhere around 12:15 AM, I'd say, I was woken up by a loud bang. I ran to my bedroom window that looked straight down at their place. And what did you see? Nothing. The kitchen lights were on, but that's about it. I went to my phone and called Lieutenant Watts here straight away. You called him personally, or did you call the police? How long did it take you to get to the window? About a couple of seconds, detective. Not more than 5, I'd say. Nearly fell out of my bed when I heard the shots, so you might say I was already halfway there. Alright, did you see anyone at all on the streets? Anything unusual? No, detective. Everything was exactly the same as always. Interesting. You said you heard a single shot? Yes. The whiskey usually knocks me out pretty good. So if there'd been more, I didn't hear him. Interesting. Do you live alone, sir? Yes, I do. Near got married. It's a long story. One meant to be talked over a couple of whiskeys, know what I mean? Heh. Can anyone confirm your whereabouts? Oh. No, I was just at home alone, you see. Am I a suspect now? It's just procedure, Mr. Willis. I know Mr. Willis, he's cool. Whatever, dude. Did they have many visitors? No, not at all, in fact. In all this time, I only maybe saw Jack coming over to fix their car, and Father Smith coming over a couple of times when they'd newly moved in. A year back, almost. They've been here for 6 months. Nah, people rarely ever visited them as they mostly kept to themselves, see? And never made any friends here. Sometimes folks just don't, sometimes folks don't like those kinds either. So, can't really say, you know what I mean? No, please, elaborate. You won't find anyone crying over their deaths here. Nobody really knew them. They never got out much. Interesting. Any other stuff you'd like to share? I don't know if this is useful, but you might have heard about Chris and Diane. They looked pretty happy when they first moved in. More recently though, I heard Diane crying a couple of times, usually late at night. See, the whiskey's knocked me out pretty early, so maybe that's why I never heard all this before. But a couple of times, I was up a little later. One night about a month ago, I heard pretty bad things. There were some loud sounds, like stuff being flung around and such, see? I heard someone crying. I was thinking to myself that maybe I should call the police, but then it quieted down all of a sudden. We never received any calls for domestic violence, but people have often talked of stories of this kind. Can you remember where you heard this, when you heard this, Mr. Willis? Well, I was up late night writing an important letter. I think it must have been somewhere between the 1st and 3rd to last month. 1st to 3rd of September, kind of. Anything else? Ah, that's all I know about this. Right, thanks for your help, Mr. Willis. We'll be in touch if we need anything else. No problem, and thanks for the coffee. Interesting that my assistant doesn't take any coffee. But whatever, it's okay. Well, I think that cleared up a lot of things. It has. We didn't get any information from that man. He was just... well... it's just a man. It has? Oh, come on, detective. You're supposed to be good at these things, aren't you? Mr. Willis didn't see anything outside the house after the gunshots. There are no signs of forced entry either. On top of that, considering how rough things were between the two of them... You heard what Mr. Willis said, right? Are you jumping to conclusions? Mr. Lieutenant, what has it been? Barely hours since the murder. Do you think there's enough data from a conclusion to form a conclusion? Mr. Willis's account only forms part of the complete picture. It isn't enough. Well, what about the door, huh? How was it locked from the inside? Explain that. I checked the door. It locks itself from the inside when you put it closed. Regardless of whether you put it from the outside or push it from the inside. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that there's no conclusive evidence yet. Well, fine then. Dig as deep as you like, detective. You won't find anything new here. I was perfectly capable of handling this case myself, but of course the head department had to complicate things. In any case, Sheriff Harris will probably want us to wrap up this case before the festival. Don't expect him to wait for more than a week. I have to head to the station now. Officer, escort Detective Henderson to his hotel. This is an officer, not my assistant. Will do, sir. Huh, that's the wrong accent. We'll come back in the evening to search the house. Letters, diaries, things of that sort. Officer Blunt. I now know her name. I thought it was one of the men there. Alright. When can we expect the autopsy results? Day after tomorrow, according to the coroner. Without confirm, I'll let you know. Alright, thank you. I'm guessing there were more than 2 bullets shot last night. We should take another look around the kitchen to make sure. I don't like the little drop sound I make when I press E. 3 bullets, but... We're glad that you're here now. Although the sheriff and Lieutenant Watts would rather not admit it, even to themselves. This is like the first murder here in the last 100 years or so. We have no idea how to deal with it. I mean, it's alright. I know what you mean. I just joined the force a month back, for instance. And the murder already? I'm not sure if I'm ready. I kind of knew them, you could say. I've never known anyone that's been murdered before, you know. It's kind of weird and a bit sad. I know as an officer I'm not supposed to feel that way at all. You'll be fine. Just give it time. Relax. It's okay. Thanks, detective. That means a lot. Tell me about them. Well, I don't know much. It's mostly what Mr. Willis said earlier. Nobody knew them really. They came in here, kept to themselves. You'd hear stories about them. Everyone thought they were some kind of weirdos. I admit, I kind of agree with that sentiment too. I feel bad about that now. There's no reason to make assumptions about people's character, and character can't be used as evidence. Unless you're profiling. So I'd really like to help figure out what the real story is, whatever it may be. Alright. The sheriff said there's a festival in town next week. What's that about? Oh, it's an annual thing. We have it every October. There's a fair on the market streets, there's food, rides. We get a lot of tourists from nearby states around that time. It's a good source of revenue for our smaller businesses here. That, of course, is less important than in light of recent events. Good to hear you say that, thank you, because the sheriff was just a dick about it. Of course, we can't go around trying to wrap up cases based on our assumptions, whatever the situation may be. The word situation looks really weird. I think it's wrong. But it is. Situation, I'm sorry. There's okay. I mean, these were people's lives that ended, and it's our job to figure out what really happened. So I guess what I'm saying is, you can count on me during this investigation. Thanks, Officer Blunt. Thank you. That was about it. I am hoping the local police will let me do the job I've been sent to do, though. I don't mean you. Detective, I know what you mean. Honestly speaking, Sheriff Harris is an asshole. I'm serious. He doesn't care about anything except running off home and taking it easy. This case probably ruined his plans to relax and enjoy the festival week. People hate that. I hate people like that. I'm sorry. Lieutenant Watts, though, he's pretty sweet. I know he comes across a little obnoxious, but... Oh my god! Oh!